super affordable and well designed SCCY CPX-2 tabletop review and field strip coming up next on GBGuns. The 3 and the 4 and the optics ready option, and now we've got the 2 on hand for another test that we're going to be doing for an article on AmmoLand. And I wanted to give this gun its own right. You get a 20% off laser coupon, which is nice. In our experience, lasers are handy on little guns like this. Some warranty. Take a look at the manual. The reason I look at the manual is this might be your first firearm, and I want to see what you might be experiencing. We've got very sharp, can't tell if it's a rendering or a photo. Looks like a blend of photos. Everything very nicely explained. Yes, I have actually read through this, so I read it before, but looks good from there. Also in the box, you'll see that we have our federally mandated trigger lock, but unlike the companies that give you just the generic thing, this is an actual trigger guard style with 2 keys. Covers the guard. We've got some flat base plates for the magazines, if you'd like that, for easier carry, and 2 magazines. Magazines have witness windows on the right side. That does make it easier for loading, not so great for being able to check while the gun is in your hand. You drop the magazine out to take a look, and you can't see how many are in there. But as a viewer pointed out, this does make it better for loading. So I understand that. I just don't know why companies can't just put them on either the back or both sides. Comes in a nice die-cut foam presentation. It's actually pretty cool, I think, for a gun of such affordable price. I know there are guns that cost a whole lot more that don't come so nicely packaged. Let's get the packaging out of the way and take a look at the gun. First things first, of course, we'll show clear. Those slide serrations grab nicely. You see they've got kind of a curve there that pulls you into a grip spot. Magazine just kind of falls out. That's alright. Let's see what the other magazine is like. I've noticed that not all magazines are the same, and in the past we have had issues with a SCCY magazine that didn't run so great in one of our 380s, but contact SCCY's warranty department, they take care of you. With that pinky rest on there and my large hands, I can get all 3 fingers on this gun, which is pretty nice for a gun of this size. If I had swapped over to the flush base plate to make it a little easier to conceal, you'd see I'd be slipping with a pinky hanging off. Doing our walk around the gun, start up front. Slide to frame play a lot of lateral, a little bit of vertical, but the barrel is locked in front to rear, not so much side to side, so quite a bit of play in there. That might have an impact on accuracy, but it might also increase reliability in permitting more margin of error from load to load. Those of you that have seen our videos before know that our What's for Dinner test is a crowd favorite. We're going to run 10 different types of loads through this thing and see what it eats and what it doesn't. No rail spot there, which would be a concern if you're looking for a laser, except SCCY's taking care of that. You saw the card that came in there. It's easy to get a laser for this. These are a double action only, which means that you get a full pull. It's hammer fired. The hammer's shrouded. It's hidden back in there. You come back and release. What that means is it's the same pull every time, so easy to learn, much like classic double action only revolvers. It also means that if the round doesn't detonate, let's say this is an abused truck gun or camp gun or something like that, and then ammunition's maybe been through some heat cycles, humidity cycles, you do have another chance to pull again to see if it's going to go off. The weight on the pull starts as soon as you get your finger on there, continues all the way through the end. Not really a lot of stacking. There's some kind of slip spots there, but if you just pull through, like in a bad breath distance, which is what this gun is meant for, not going to be an issue there. We have kind of this style cut here, but it works nicely as a memory point for resting your trigger finger when you're not firing, and your thumb of your support hand if you grip thumbs forward. Trigger cut, or cut under the trigger guard, is not super high visually, but I've got large fingers and I can fit in there and still get into these grooves. So they did better than Glock on the Gen 319 for that. The texturing on here is mostly visual. It's a little slick, but remember, when you're firing, the gun is rocking this way, not swimming side to side. So really, texture on the sides, all that does is add to irritation when you're carrying, so I'm okay with the smooth side there. As far as resisting that rocking, we have the finger grooves to hold in place on the front. A little bit of texture on the back, but it's that same kind of weak texture. So not super aggressive. Slide to frame fit on the back. We also have a lot of side to side and some vertical play there. It's a loosely fit gun. As I mentioned before, we'll see when we get to the range if that's going to impact accuracy at all. Magazine release does not look reversible, and on the right side of the gun, everything is slick and smooth. Next, we'll field strip the gun and take a look inside our CPX-2. So field stripping does require some sort of tool. The manual recommends a flat blade screwdriver, of course, for safety purposes. I forgot to mention the sights. They really grab your eyes, and you got a little bit of daylight on either side of the front sight post there. Back to field stripping. You are going to need some sort of tool. Manual recommends a flat blade screwdriver, probably for liability reasons, because you're going to have to pull out your pin there. It sits nice and flush. That's easy for concealed carry. Also means you need something to pry it with. The back end of a casing works really well. See, I set it in there and used the round for leverage to pop, pull the pin right out. There's our pin. And with that there, you can ease the slide forward. No need to pull the trigger. Extra layer of safety there. And so we've got nice full-length rails to keep everything headed the direction it's supposed to. Just had some loose tolerances on fitment, but like I said, that could be like the AK. It's something that helps keep it running. To remove our barrel, we're going to first push forward and down and up on a recoil assembly. It is a metal recoil assembly, and it might be tough to see there, but it's nested springs. So we've got two springs in there of different rates, helping each other out. Pop our barrel forward a little bit and up, pull it back and out. And you can see this thing is brand new. Does not have the drop safety plunger that you're used to seeing, somewhere usually about right here, because it doesn't need it. Being a double action only and always resting with the hammer down but shrouded, there's no amount of dropping unless maybe something can fit perfectly in that channel just right, at just the right angle. I don't know, that's for one of those disgruntled writers to come up with a big expose story on, but I'm not worried about it. You can see our factory lube still in there. Very clean machining, especially for how many of these Sky cranks out. Very popular guns, lots of them out there. Polish on the feed ramp. And we'll get our nozzler match and check our chamber support. You can even see there's a little bit of bevel on that end there to help guide in a round that's maybe a little bit astray or something didn't line up right. Chamber support we check with our nozzler match, as we always have. Why? Because this is the most consistently manufactured ammunition that I have tested to date, and I have no reason to stray from it. What we do is we drop around in there, a little snug, tap it in. Be interesting to see if that is from grease or if it's just a snug chamber. Okay, that time it went in, so probably just a little bit of shipping grease there. And what we're looking at is how much of the brass beneath that collar there, if you will, is supported or not. And it looks like we have a little bit of unsupport underneath down in there, much like early Glocks did. That's where the Glock smiley comes from. And check for that only in case you're going to be using reloads or low quality ammunition. If there is a case rupture, the area of the brass that's not being supported by the barrel is where that brass is going to give out, right? Because the brass is weaker than the barrel. So when the pressure is looking for a place, it's going to push out there. So it blasts out there and down through the grip of the gun. Usually leads to a bad day. Rarely is it actually dangerous, but something to keep in mind that these barrels are not a fully supported chamber. So be smart with your ammunition selection. Don't go with anything questionable. If you want to know what runs, once again, watch our shooting impressions video to see the What's for Dinner test. So reassembly, we're just going to reverse the process. Drop the barrel in, let it lock in place. Our guide rod assembly, I believe, had the small end forward. Yes, and it fit nicely. A little bit of side to side there. It's interesting. Our slide back on our frame. We're going to lock the slide to the rear, and here's the part some folks don't care for, is you've got to look through that window for clarity. That's obviously too far back, and there's a little catch there. There's a sweet spot there, right there, where you can see through. Hold the barrel in place, and push our pin in. Make sure the barrel's forward. Let the slide go forward. Quick functions check. It's easy. And now, one thing on these, trigger reset is all the way out. So it's just a full stroke like that. We did notice on this one that sometimes if you are trapping the trigger and easing it out, there, did it? It didn't quite grab. Could be something is out of alignment in this particular gun. It could be that something that doesn't matter when actually firing, because the recoil from the firing is going to cause that to go back in place. We'll see when we get out there. A little disconcerting at first, but there have been times in the past with other guns where something didn't seem right here on the tabletop, but in real world actual shooting, it worked just fine. These things are commonly available under $300. You've got metal sights on them. You get 2 mags. You get a properly fit trigger. Very affordable, nice sized subcompact gun. In .380, they're a joy to shoot. We'll see how something this small feels in 9 when we get it out to the range. And watch for that AmmoLand article. Going to do an interesting test comparing, well, .380 versus 9 through 4 different nearly identical guns. And that's a difficult thing to find. Only 2 manufacturers that I know of had good matches. That's part of why we've got this guy. That's the tabletop review and field strip of the SCCY CPX-2. We'll see you on the range. Thanks for watching.